So today, I'm going to work on this MacBook. We're going to see if we can figure out what the problem is with this MacBook. First, I'm going to reattach this key that fell off of my keyboard. When will we get Tesla repair videos? Once I crash it. But so far I haven't crashed it. I actually am pretty happy. I haven't gotten a scratch on that car. Like, not even a scratch. And this is New York City. You see how people drive in New York City, and you see how every car looks in New York City. So that's a difficult thing to achieve. But somehow I have achieved it, which is that I have not had my car get destroyed. And give it time, give it time. This is New York City. Give it time. It'll happen eventually, but not yet. Okay. Okay. So here we have a MacBook. I don't have my USB-C amp meter over here. It's not. Oh, here we go. It's right here. I'm going to plug this in. The first thing that I do on this, I'm going to unplug the battery. Grab a magnet over here. The donation company match come through yet? Not sure how quick they show up. Which company do you mean, Chris? Are you talking about which company? Because so far, I've only had, let me know the name of the company. Because the thing is, the only thing that I gave my bank account information to was GoFundMe. So there's GoFundMe, and then I've been linking people to a way that they can pay via Chase. But I haven't actually given anybody else my banking info yet. So if we will see. Okay, A19. This is a 820-01814. It looks like. Yeah, this is an A1990. Wait a second. No way. Oh, son of a. This was in the wrong slot. Nah, that's so effing lame. Alright. I actually grabbed the wrong one, so we gotta redo this video, alright? You gotta redo this, okay? I don't have a PayPal for the new thing. I don't want to deal with PayPal and locking accounts and all that shit for the 501c3 or 4. I've had enough of that shit with my normal businesses. So, one sec. I gotta grab the other one. I grabbed the wrong one in the damn slot. And mute. Oh, Benevity. Benevity has not asked me for my bank account information yet. So I have to look into that. I signed up with them, but I have not. Yeah, I have to get through to that. Because I think those only go to C3, not C4. So I haven't. I will register. I will log back in today and check. Promise. Also, dead fishies, yeah, absolutely. They will never... I just ate, but I'm sure they're confident they will never turn it down. Thank you so much, Chris. You're better than I deserve here. Okay. Next one. Louis Rossman, consistent streamer, is live. Yeah. I have not been a consistent streamer at all recently. I'm sorry about that. I haven't been in the mood for it, and I've had other stuff that I've been focusing on, but I'll be honest with you, a lot of it is I just have not been in the mood for it at all. I used to be. I haven't been in the mood for a lot lately. But hey everybody, how's it going? So today we've got an A1706 and it's not working properly. We're going to try to figure out why it's not working properly and make it work again. That's what we do here at Rossman Repair. So let's open this thing up and see what's wrong with this machine. Paul Daniel says, poor Erica. Indeed, poor Erica. She has to deal with me. That's pretty horrible. Mine never cracked. Washing machine, man. Okay, we have an A1706 and it's not turning on, and let's see if we can figure out why it's not turning on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the overhead camera on so that you can see it. I'm going to unplug the battery, since the battery being plugged in is not something that should happen when we're doing basic board diagnostics. I want to know how much power the board is taking, not how much power the board is using to charge the battery. Because the battery, if it's depending on how full it is, will give me different readings. Whereas the board turning on without the battery will give me a consistent reading each time because it boots the same way each time, or it does not. Now I'm kind of curious if any of you can see from there what the problem is. We are taking 210 milliamps at 5 volts, and we've got a white sticker over here and a red sticker over here, and a little bit of corrosion over there. So we're going to take the board out of the case and see if we can fix that up and get this thing turning on again. And as you all know, if you've been paying attention and watching these videos on a regular basis, this chip over here is a CD3215. That chip is a Texas Instruments USB-C MUX. So it's going to deal with DisplayPort video, HDMI video, USB 2, USB 3, charging, Thunderbolt, all that sort of stuff, and route it to the computer. And if you get liquid on it, that charging port won't work. Now this machine has 4 charging ports, and as a result of having 4 charging ports, it also has 4 CD3215s. And the way this machine works, if any one of those 4 chips dies, the machine stops charging through any of the 4 ports. So it only takes one of the 4 ports dying to cause all of the ports to not work. So I know what you may be thinking. Oh, I had a laptop at one point in time that only had 1 charge port, and if the 1 charge port died, my whole machine was dead. Now that Apple has a machine that has 4 charge ports, now even if 1 dies, I still have the other 3. No, you don't understand. This was designed by Apple. You don't understand, my friends. So that's not how this works. So we are going to see why this, if we can just touch up that area and get this thing charging again. And if not, then we'll just give it to Paul, because that's what we do here. There's also significant damage over here by this touch bar connector. So that's likely something that's going to have to be replaced. I believe we may have some of those connectors on store.rossmangroup.com. I may not get that done today, because getting that done today would mean that I'm going to miss a meeting that I have at 8 o'clock with Jessa, Nathan Proctor, and some other individuals that is important for me to make. So I'm probably just going to work on this enough to get it charging again, and then shove it in Paul's queue to do the rest, so that I'm able to make the meeting that I have to make in time, because I don't want to miss that. That's an important one. And I also have something I have to do before the meeting as well. Looks like we got some stripped screws in here, so I'm not the first person to be inside this computer. Lovely, lovely. Lewis, I got a new job and they sent me a MacBook Pro. Counting down the days till I need to send it to you. You're just waiting for that 52 volts to the 1.7 volt data line, aren't you? Hey, you know, be nice to it. If you're nice to it, it may just work for a while. Yes, I did, Harriet. And if you're unsure what I said, you can always hit the rewind button, because this is a video, and you'll be able to hear it. I've always been confused when people say what in an online chat room. I usually just wind up copying and pasting what I said before. So this is an Exolite 175M, and this saved my ass in 2009 when I was down on my last like $4 and I needed to fix this machine before the dead week of Christmas to get a stripped screw out so that I could fix it and collect the money. And this is a screw that's being really, really, really stubborn. So what you do is you squeeze the screw with the Exolite 175M, you twist it, and in that case I just cut the thing out of the machine. That I had to squeeze a lot more than usual. I can probably find a spare from a donor computer. We don't sell computers anymore here at Rossman Repair Group, because the city expects that I provide documentation of where I bought each computer that I'm reselling, and I don't buy computers from people, because this is New York City, where every computer that someone brings in is stolen. Dead fishies en route, top of the hour. Thank you so much, Christopher Kelly. You are a kind man. Nicer than I deserve. So I don't sell them anymore, which means I can take spare parts from all these recycled machines that people don't pick up. Okay. I give them the Paul Johan because I have a meeting at 8 o'clock that I have to attend to. Rob Brown is here. Did they at least try and work with you and not fine you over that? I spoke to an attorney about it, and he said that I'm going to wind up torturing myself dealing with it, so I should just pay it and stop selling computers, since it's not what I make my money from. A big part of this is that apparently the law is written in a way where technically, I didn't even know this, but technically, I'm supposed to, when I sell a computer, I'm supposed to keep your address, your home address, and your phone number and report it to the city each time I sell the computer. It's not just, I thought that it was just when I buy computers. I didn't know it was when I sell them. Now, when I sell a customer a computer, I don't ask them for their home address or their phone number. It's usually just name for warranty, and if they don't want to provide that, they don't have to. I didn't actually know that. What plier was that? Oh, that's an Exolite 175M. That's not a plier. It's fine tip snippers. How an Oreo's poop issue has not been resolved. Now, here's the thing, is that apparently I need to keep track of your phone number and home address and submit it to the city each time I sell a computer. And that I don't actually do. I never did that. I didn't even know I was supposed to do that. And honestly, even if I was supposed to do that, I would not do that, because I don't think it's the city's business when you buy a computer from me to have to know your fucking home address, your full name, and your phone number. That's a little too invasive for me, and I wouldn't do that to my customers. So even though I didn't do what they're accusing me of, I did something else that they're not accusing me of, which means that by not just getting, if I do choose to take this to court, I could get someone who's really nice and understanding, or I could get someone who goes, okay, let's see your records for all the stuff that you sold, and then I'm just going, because I don't have the home address and phone number for all those people. So because the law is written in that way, even though what I did was not wrong, I technically would be opening myself up to admitting that I did something else that may be considered actually worse than the thing that I didn't do, and that's probably just not worth my time if I am if I'm trying to start this new organization and get this up and running. Like, do I really? I'll just take the L. Now, I originally said this is a problem because I'm going to sell computers, but what if I just don't sell them? Steve has been arguing with me for a long time that it is much more profitable to take these devices that that people recycle here and never pick up and use those parts for other repairs. Let's say you need to use screen assembly. Once you can't find screen assemblies anymore, give them $100 off and give them a used screen. Or if you can't find a logic board online, use the logic board that you have in the recycled computer. If it's good, use the parts from the recycled computer. Steve has always made the case that I can make way more money for the store by doing that, by using these recycled parts rather than you selling the computer. Selling the computer is never as nearly as profitable as parting it out. And I've made the argument that we could always just buy those parts online. We need them anyway. And to look like more of a, quote, legitimate business, we should, sell MacBooks. We're a store with 15 employees that work on MacBooks. So people are going to want to come by and buy them. And maybe if you buy the MacBook from us, then that may bring us referral business for repairs. Whereas if we don't sell them, you're going to go to somewhere else. You'll buy your MacBook somewhere else, and then you use them for all the repairs. However, if the city is going to make it absolute nightmare to actually sell a product, I don't really sell MacBooks that much anyway. I sell like a couple a year, if even. And I have to report to the city the fucking address and all that of my customers, and I have to risk these misunderstandings with the Department of Consumer Affairs because the inspector doesn't speak English. I shouldn't say doesn't speak English. He speaks fine English. He was just being a dick and not purposely avoiding everything we were saying so that he could fine us. Then what's the fuck is the point? So I'm going to pay a $500 fine. However, here's the thing. I usually renew 2 licenses a year. I renew my secondhand dealer license, $350. I renew my electronics store license, $350. So the city's going to get their $500 fine, but they're not getting the $700 for the license renewals because I'm never going to renew those licenses because I'm not going to sell stuff in New York City. So in the long term, New York City will not only lose the tax revenue from sales tax from me selling those computers, but they're also going to lose the licensing revenue of me renewing those licenses because I'm no longer going to be in that business. So I hope the city is quite happy with themselves. But at the end of the day, there's so many things that I could be focusing on and doing, and focusing on that is such a fucking waste of time. In contrast to everything else. Would it be cool to stay on hold for 15 hours at the DCA to finally get someone, to get a little audio clip of them saying what I did wasn't wrong, and then play that in court, and then hope that I get some owned moment or whatever? It would be cool to do that. But at the end, the amount of time I'm going to spend doing that shit when I could be focusing on everything else in life is just ridiculous. You take the L and I learn a lesson. New York does not want me to sell computers. They clearly don't want me to sell or work on sell laptops of any kind. And that's fine. That's fine. I've heard them loud and clear, and that's that. So it looks like this is an underfilled CD3215 over here. Yeah, we've got some corrosion by, so I'm going to try and just kind of... Obviously, there's not going to be any corrosion under the chip itself. There's not going to be any corrosion under the CD3215 because it is, surrounded by underfill. What happens if the BIOS chip is damaged? The BIOS chip has nothing to do with this. If you're talking about the CD3215's ROM chip, then, it's not going to work. But that's usually not the case. It's very rarely the case, especially when the liquid damage is directly outside of that area. Yeah, I don't see anything nasty here. Hey, Daniel, how are you? That CD3215 looks pretty dead to me. Well, the CD3215 may actually not be bad. It may just be that the stuff around it had some corrosion, shorting one line to another. It happens, so... I'm kind of like filing my nails right here. That's what I like to call this. I'm just filing my nails. There's one resistor to the right over here that's completely screwed looking. I'm just going to pick that up. And we'll look at what the rest of it looks like on the other side. Turn the light up a little bit so you can see. Use the totally different LLC and then you have legal separation. That has nothing to do with this problem whatsoever. Nothing to do with it. There's legal separation has nothing to do with this. Because if you had a different company, you would just have the fine go to a different company. So it really doesn't help you at all. What is that red LED over there? That's not an LED, you mofo. That is not an LED. That's a liquid damage indicator. And in this case, it turned colors because someone actually got liquid damage on their MacBook. Usually it turns colors when it's humid outside. Okay, how about I put my soldering station up to an actual melting temperature? Thanks for what you taught me through the videos. Keep it up, man. Thank you. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it's been useful to you. When Lewis streams I know it's late. When Lewis streams, your videos help me understand circuit logic for university. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad someone learned something from this stuff. Thank you. Makes me feel like I'm not just wasting my time, and that means a lot. Thank you. Okay. Turns red when humid or might get scared. Paul Daniels Mystery Solver. Yeah, that was funny. I'm never gonna forget that. That little bastard. That little bastard. He's cute. I had something like that in the store recently, actually. Okay. I want to be really careful there. The reason I put this on top of the chip is because I don't want the balls underneath the chip to get messed up. You can't reflow a chip when there's underfill around it. And I don't really want to deal with replacing a chip that's underfilled because it's such a pain in the ass. Alright, so someone who asked about what happens when the BIOS chip is messed up. This one, that's the ROM for the CD3215. So that could actually be our problem here because you see the probe point right by it doesn't look very nice. And we'll see what's going on there in a moment. Yeah, this probe point is destroyed over there. So it may not actually be the CD3215s that are the cause of the problem. Although that resistor is looking pretty nasty, and this cap does look pretty shorted. Again, this is an underfilled chip, so as nasty as this stuff looks, the area underneath the balls of the chip may actually be fine. So I'm just going to kind of clean around it a little bit. Also, keep in mind when you have corrosion on your CD3215s, always check your sleep sensor, because this sleep sensor is going to be screwed up. And what that means is this customer is going to come back in a month or two and say that my screen is always off, or it doesn't go to sleep when I close it, because that is a sensor over there. And it's very destroyed looking. So that resistor was barely even on the machine. You saw it slid right off. And this cap over here is going to come off the board. You're out of here. $2 greenie for crit, and did you get my postcard? I don't remember the names on the postcards, I'll be honest with you. I remember what they say sometimes, but I don't remember what's on them. I mean, I don't remember the name. I think I called Erica Emma for like 2 months. But thank you for the greenie. I know that probably sounds insensitive, but I'm just being honest. Like, it'd probably be better if I just said, yeah, of course, but I don't. I remember things like PP Bus G3 Hottish, 12.56 volts on an ACE A1278, and 8.55 volts on an A1466, but I don't really remember names. Except for Paul Daniels, because I curse him all the time. But I stopped cursing him, because he's a nice guy, and I realized that it's not his software that's wrong, it's his... It's user error, and I should be cursing myself and not him. And that little pad just came right off, didn't it? Didn't it? You bastard. I'm gonna hope that resistor that just had a pad come off is for something stupid, like a pull down resistor. You know, one of those useless things. You mind if I ask a question? Absolutely I do. If you ask to ask a question, I will mess you up. If you ask a question, it's totally okay. But if you ask to ask a question, then someone here will probably mess you up. Okay, what is that thing that just got knocked off? What got knocked off is awesome! A useless pull-down resistor to ground. Something that we don't need or give a shit about. Let's see. Useless UART pull-down resistor. Okay, now this other resistor that it was corroded, that's a resistor that's needed. That's a very important one. That is for, let's see, schematic and board view software over here. That is... yeah, something speaking to the SMC. That's a data line between the SMC and the USB port controller. So we actually need that one. So some stuff you need and some stuff you don't really need. But the stuff that you need, you can't just toss it off the board. So that I do have to replace. And luckily, the thing that I actually need is not the thing that I destroyed. So look at that, eh? Now, you may think that that's a shitty solder joint, and you're correct. I'm really trying to avoid using more heat than is absolutely necessary because I'm right next to an underfilled chip. Pretty much literally just like laying it in there and heating it at an angle. That's enough, because I knew I had to eat something else right in that area. I don't want to give that shit any more heat than absolutely necessary. Now, the next thing is, what is this going to over here? Because this is clearly destroyed. So what is that probe point for? That's the next thing that's going to be on my list. I have had M1 machines du jour, but I believe that that's, well, by I mean my staff, not me. I don't actually fix shit here anymore. I'm really just kind of here to look pretty. I'll be honest with you. I'm just here to look pretty. Okay, so what is this? What is this? This probe point is PP3V3 UVC LDO. XB LDO. Okay, so if I have 3.3, all I got to do is see if I have 3.3 volts there. If I have 3.3 volts there, I'm good. Lastly, I saw something right next to the CPU that gives me... oh man, that makes me so fucking sad. What are the chances that this is actually going to be a dead CPU? If this is a dead CPU, I'm going to be pissed. Oh man, there's corrosion right by the CPU Vcoin MOSFET, and that cap just came right off. I can put that cap back on later. First, let's see if I solve my charging issue. Oh, this is so lame. This is so effing lame. Yeah, it's gonna be really lame if this machine has a dead CPU and I just wasted all this time on fixing a charging circuit on it. This looks like it's gonna be something for the Paul, actually. Yeah, this, you know what? I think my meeting may actually be happening early. You know, funny coincidence there. I think my meeting may actually be early. Yeah, 8. I think it's actually around 7:37 Eastern Standard. Might just have to dip out of here a little early. All right, so what do we get? We get 5 volts, 215 milliamps. So again, I may have to replace 2 CD3215s on this board. That also may just so happen to have a dead CPU. So this really looks like a board for Paul. Actually, this was in Paul's status originally. I just thought I would take some of the work off his hands. Make sure he's a little bit lower stressed. But it seems like this one's actually supposed to be in Paul's status. Yeah, it looks like this one's actually supposed to be in Paul's status after all. So, my mistake, my bad. I totally shouldn't be taking work from Paul here. All right, we also have a little bit of corrosion on this. Yoink. Yeah, this may have a dead CPU. The touch bar connector is bad. It has to be replaced. And it's going to need replacement of underfilled CD3215s. So I actually think this is probably an excellent time for Paul to take over. Yeah, it definitely is one of those times where I think he wants to show us his skills, his abilities, and we're gonna run right at it. So let's see. Is PP3v3_G3 hot present? It does not appear to be. I believe there may be a short on PP3V. Oh my god, this corrosion by the screen. Oh man, there's little bits of corrosion in all the wrong areas here, honestly. Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a really great job for Paul. This looks like one of those boards where Paul's just going to be very, very happy that I saved it for him. So let's see. PP3v3_G3 hot present. It is not. Okay, let's troubleshoot PP3v3_G3 hot then, shall we? This is going to be man, Jessa, thank you so much for reminding me of that meeting that we have at 7:38 p.m. Man, I really appreciate that, Jessa, you making sure that I'm on time. You're a good friend. You're a good friend, Jessa. All right, so let's see, is this shorted to ground or something else? So stop falling. Okay. R6915 is going to be over here. And do we have a short circuit to ground? We do not. That is 700 ohms. Yeah, that's not shorted. Doesn't seem like it's shorted. And again, this is drawing. Now, what's on the beginning of the circuit? Where's this diode? Do I have 5 volts coming into it? I don't even have 5 volts going in. 5 volts, no 5 volts, no 5 volts. Okay, so what I did is I need PP3v3_G3 hot for the USB-C mux to work so that it charges. Do most models' hardware failures show systemic design issues or factory-related issues? I don't know what you mean by that. I think you mean are they putting it together differently each time it screws up? And if that's the case, then no, it's designed the way it is. It's not. Yeah, it's not like somebody at the factory did something wrong. All right, so R6902. So I checked over here. I checked over here and I didn't have anything. So now I checked over here and I didn't have anything. So I'm going to check over here on R6902 and see what I got there. So R6902 is this one up here. And I don't have 5. I don't have 5. Is my meter working? Is 5 volts actually getting to the machine? Interesting, interesting. 5 volts is over here. What the fuck? Okay, so WTF, WTF, WTF. So have 5 volts on my DC infuse. Biggie, 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 oh, can't you see? Da-da-da-da, hypnotize me. I just love your pee-pee bus ways. Da-da-da-da-da-da-dun-dun-dun. Okay, so this transistor's not opening, and this transistor is going to get opened by the CD3215. So this transistor over here is not opening. Q3200, and Q3200 is... so this transistor is not opening over here, and this transistor is going to open when the CD3215 tells it that it can open. So the CD3215 is not even letting 5 volts through for PB3V3_G3 hot to be created. So we have a couple of things here. So the first is that the touch bar connector is no good. The second is the CPU vCore MOSFET area is damaged, which means the CPU may be dead. And the third is that we may have to replace 2 underfilled CD3215s with replacements, which means scraping off a lot of underfill. And that's all the stuff that may be necessary to even figure out if this machine has any chance of ever working. And I say chance because there is an issue where the CPU MOSFET looks destroyed. We also have other random areas of corrosion over here, so we've got a little bit of nasty shit over there. That looks like it's about to fall off the board. These 2 tiny ICs over here look like they both took a giant shit. So this is, yeah, that's a chip for the touch bar over there. That's for PP1V8 Mesa power. We have random corrosion up here. And again, at the end of the day, after fixing all of the... Oh, not to mention this, so there's a chance that we don't have... Oh, wouldn't this be funny if it had 52 volts went to the CPU data line already? So these are all things that have to be repaired on this board, and even after fixing them all, you may end up with a board that actually has a dead CPU, or you may end up having to sell them on a partial repair because there's a good chance of the touch bar not working. So at the end of the day, this is a board that I think I'm going to honor my employee Paul with, because this was initially in his status, and I think, and you know, look at the time. It looks like I have a meeting that's starting right now. So that's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. I will see you all in the next video, and bye now. And how's it going, Sonny? Anyway, yeah, it's crazy how that works. It's crazy. The timing.